Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and trippin' orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who got 'em, who rockin' on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah, we got 'em.
Welcome to Bengals and Brews. I am Dell Altman, joined by Brian Bosarge at Deep Fried Draft, and I guess you can say this guy, Big Luther, Big Savage Greg Luther. What's up, guys? How we doing on this fine Friday?
Friday's Friday, right?
Hey, TGIF.
TGIF.
I shouldn't say I have a Miller Lite. I have a 50 West.
Great. We are proud sponsors of 50 West Beer and Midwest Best Barbecue. Which I told Brian here, next time he comes down to Cincinnati, I think you can agree, Dale, he definitely needs to try that place.
Yeah, it's definitely one that Greg tells everyone to go to, and I mean, it's delicious. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, good people too.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it next time I'm up you guys' way there.
Yeah, for anyone that don't know, Brian is actually Mobile, Alabama, which just happens to be where the Senior Bowl was located, and works for Draft Countdown. You kind of part run that, right? You and Shane?
Yeah. Me and Shane are the two honchos over there at the Draft Countdown, and have been for what I think this is our third draft cycle now. So, it's business is booming this time of year for us, for sure.
Absolutely. And you can go on there. You can find scouting reports. You can find rankings. I was talking to Brian off the air. We'll have a new set of rankings and updated after the Senior Bowl and all that stuff. Weed through some of the players also that, may have went back to school, or transfer portal, which is another fun thing now that a ton of these players end up going in. So not only are they not coming out in the draft, now you got to figure out where they move schools to. So that's always fun to keep up on.
It's kind of exciting for college football. It's another cool thing or I'd say a cool thing, but another thing to keep up with. But if you're a guy who tries to keep up with all this stuff on spreadsheets, it's a bit taxing.
Yeah, keeping track of where they are, where they came from, how they did there, how they're doing in the new spot. It's just another piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. And I know you guys had I think it was just the February 5th here recently, a 3-round Bengals mock that you had done. So we can kind of kick off there, look at guys you liked at the Senior Bowl too. But looking at the mock draft, you selected a guy who's 5th on my overall board. I expect he'll go. A lot of times he goes 15th to the Colts, so he's not quite there at 18. But tight end Brock Bowers from Georgia, been probably the best tight end in college football for the 3 years he's been in college. At Georgia, definitely a very impressive player, very athletic, a lot to like with him. Now I know like Fuaga, Murphy, Latham were some of the guys that were on the board. So just what was your thoughts on selecting Bowers and maybe not some of those other guys, and who would have been maybe your backup pick if he would have been gone?
I'm at this point just trying to will Brock Bowers into stripes at this point.
You and a few others.
Yeah. By any means necessary. I'm at the point now to screw it. It doesn't matter how much money they spend on the offensive line. It's all the same anyway. So let's just outscore everybody. And that's kind of where I'm at with Bowers. Now, in all seriousness, I mean, this isn't the problem is they should have attacked tight end in last year's draft. They had X amount of picks and took none. So they kept going with the rent a player. Irv Smith sucked. I'm just going to be straight up honest. This was not great. Guess what? Irv Smith couldn't stay healthy like he has in the other 6 years in his NFL career. The D2 tight end from Southern, Hudson? Is that Tanner Hudson?
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name. I mean, he had flashes, but I mean, he's at best a number 2 tight end. And Drew Sample is what he is. He's a blocker, and nothing more, nothing less. You may get the occasional couple plays he made in the open field, but those are the exceptions, not the rules. I expect they're both unrestricted free agents, right? I expect that they'll be brought back on 1 year deals or so. I did not know my cat was still in the room.
Cat cameo. Greg's terrified of cats. So
Yeah, unfortunately I am. But Brian, I wanted to give the Bengals an A draft. I loved the draft last year, but I said I was ready to bet my house if they would draft a tight end. I mean, when I was at the Bengals draft party, I'm like, here we go. We got Michael Mayer. We're good to go. And when I heard Miles Murphy, I'm like, well, and I wasn't mad, but I'm like, okay, deep tight end class, we're good. And then round by round, it was just like, what's going on here? And I know some say the Bengals normally don't use a tight end. Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, Hayden Hurst that one year, and you look at Tanner, when Browning came in, we used Tanner Hudson, Wilcox, all those guys a lot. Just get the tight end position secure. But I don't know about the first round or go to free agency and get one, but we can't do it we just can't, like you said with Irv Smith, you can't do that every single year.
Well, but the problem is in this year's draft class, outside of Brock Bowers, who is tremendous and has been productive for 3 years at Georgia. Now he's not going to measure in like your stereotypical tight end. He's only probably going to be 6'2", maybe 235. So there's going to be some outlier issues with that. And then the next tight end is going to be JT Sanders, a underclassman from Texas, who has more size but isn't near the polished player that Brock Bowers is. After that, it's dicey out there, guys. And there was a couple of guys at the Senior Bowl that I would justify taking on day 3. But and I'm talking Ben Sinnott from Kansas State, Jared Wiley, TCU. I like Jaheim Bell as a chess piece athlete, but I don't know if he's in that role. Maybe he's a even shorter version of Brock Bowers, if that makes sense.
Right.
He measured at 6'1" at the Senior Bowl, but weighed 246. I mean, he's rocked up and he can run. I mean, he was South Carolina's leading rusher 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, Bell's a hell of an athlete, but those are, to me, all day 3 guys. I'm not touching any of those guys on day 2 outside of Bowers or Sanders. So, if Bowers is on the board, I think you just fix it and get it over with, make the pick and move on.
Yeah. Now, if he's not there and you had to pick one guy I really like that I think was being slept on a lot in that process you mentioned there was Jared Wiley from TCU. He moves pretty well for a guy's size, and he's been asked to block quite a bit. I think he's still got a lot more upside as a receiver that maybe we haven't seen at TCU due to inconsistent quarterback play and things like that. So, is he? What are your just thoughts on Jared Wiley specifically? Since
great size, measured Senior Bowl 6'7", 255. I mean, that's great size, and he made the first couple of days of practice. He made a couple of nice catches in the one-on-one drills, showing off a nice, behind the back catch radius there. I just don't think he's going to test super well. And generally speaking, if tight ends at the NFL level, +8 RAS or whatever, that's what leads to success. I don't know that Jared Wiley is going to hit those numbers. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think he's going to test like a solid number 2 tight end at the NFL level, and we'll see. But
now sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, being from Ohio, I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm not still super high on Cade Stover. I think he has excellent hands. I mean, hardworking dude that they moved around DN linebacker, kind of settled into tight end finally the last 2 years. I mean, he's a guy you wouldn't mind as a day 3 pick, but I don't think he's the guy that's going to be a franchise changer. He's just kind of another piece. Would you agree with that on him?
I do, and kind of wish did meet Parker last week. He's a good dude there.
I love Parker.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe should have drafted Laporta at 28. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I could have said that I had Laporta over Mayer, but I really liked Mayer. I mean, there's a lot of other people that saw a lot of concerns with him. I still think he's going to be a damn good player, especially if the Raiders can figure out, who they want to play quarterback out there. But yeah, so we'll move on from that. I guess I'll mention the tackles just because that's something right now that's kind of, if you're not bringing in somebody in free agency, Jonah Williams is likely to leave, it seems like. Might want to play left tackle, might just want to change the scenery. We were happy he stuck around last year, but he still kind of wasn't a top-level guy even at right tackle. So Fuaga and Latham were a couple guys that went a little bit later in your mock there in that first round. What are your thoughts on those 2 guys specifically before we move on to the second?
I think they're both right tackles. which is where we would need them to slide right in right away. Fuaga might even kick inside the guard at some point. He kind of exposed a little bit by the speed in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, but Fuaga to me is one of those guys. Once he gets the hands on you, he locks it out. But I think he can be beat by speed, and I heard somebody else mention that's not generally something that is awesome when you're knowing you're going to be blocking TJ Watt, twice a year. Who's the other? Latham, I think, is a much better run blocker at this stage than he is a pass blocker. But he has the frame and the size to work with that I would be open to Latham at 18 if Bowers and somebody else I'm quite sure we're going to talk about later is not on the board at 18, because there's two guys here that I think are slam dunk picks for the Bengals, and then Bowers and Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois.
And in your mock, he was gone, to clarify for everybody. But let's just go ahead, since you brought him up. Tell us, about Jerzon Johnny Newton from Illinois.
2.0.
Yeah. Brian kind of cutting out. Is cutting out for you too, Greg? That's not on my end, is it?
Yeah, he's cutting out for me too, yeah.
Okay.
How about it? You got me? I'm sorry, yes.
I can't hardly hear you here. Maybe go out and try to come back in if you can.
Yeah, but
what are your thoughts, Greg? We'll just kind of kick off with the Brock Bowers. Would you be okay with it? I know Derek's the guy who's like, I don't really want a first round tight end. I tried to tell him, lead him. This is during the season, not knowing where we'd pick still.
Right.
I'm like Bowers is kind of different. He gives you a weapon and almost a receiving weapon right away. That if you're losing Boyd in the slot, especially, you can do a lot of things with this guy and can be hugely productive.
Yeah. So you know me, I wanted a tight end so badly last year and all that. I wanted one so badly. But just now that we have so many other needs, I'm not going to complain at all if we get Brock Bowers, not at all. But I'm just saying, just my personal opinion, we have so many other needs. You look at the free agency tight end class. I mean, Dalton Schultz, Noah Fant. I know some people may not agree with some of those names or anything, but I'd rather just almost do that and just focus on you got to protect Joe. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Or like Newton, if he's there, I am running to that board and saying his name, Newton.
Yeah,
I mean, that's Geno Atkins 2.0 right there. And Geno Atkins was one of my favorite players ever to watch. We need to solidify the trenches. That's just my personal opinion. Do you agree, Brian? Or
I do. How about now? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I don't know what happened there, guys. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, no, I love Johnny Newton, man, and he would give us that pass rush that we haven't had up the middle in a little while now. BJ Hill, he gives it to you in spurts, but I think Newton he's far and away, I think, the top interior defensive lineman in this draft class, and he may be long gone by the 18th pick of the draft, but you never know. I mean, how many does a fourth quarterback go ahead of the Bengals? Possibly, and then that pushes another guy down. That pushes an offensive lineman down. So, how many wide receivers go in the top 18? I mean, I know at least two are going to go, Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr., but do you see Brian Thomas Jr. go maybe sneak ahead? Roma Dunze, those guys going ahead. I don't think the Bengals are drafting a receiver at 18. Nope. So all those things happen. It's better for the Bengals pushing those guys down, and even pushing more offensive tackles down if that's the case. I mean, you guys mentioned Fuaga and Latham. Tyler Guyton's going to be a big name that's going to come up, and he's going to be athletic, former tight end. I love me some tight ends that convert to offensive tackle. I do. Just light feet guys, and Guyton is that. And if that is one thing you can say about this Bengals offensive line is they ain't athletes. And I think that's something that they need to start moving in that direction. Try to get away from these big lumbering oafs, and let's get some nimble guys in there. Start phasing some of those guys out and get some of the more athletic guys in.
Yeah, and Stranger kind of leads us right into another defensive tackle who actually went in your round 2 here. So if we get right tackle sorted, and we talked about Newton here in the first, but maybe a guy that, cross your fingers, he's there in the second in this scenario on Brian's mock draft recently. he was, and that's T'Vondre Sweat, who was also at the Senior Bowl. Just an absolute mountain of a man, like 6'4", anywhere between 340 and 360 or
We
higher.
don't know.
Because he didn't weigh in. So that may be at the combine that he weighs in. A lot of people thought he came in heavy to kind of for the drills and to show his power. And now he's going to slim down a little bit and maybe try to move a little bit quicker for the combine stuff. So we'll kind of maybe see what he weighs in out there. But 1 year it was 346. It was reported 360 something this past year. A lot of people down at the Senior Bowl thought maybe even more than that when he was down there. So he was your second round pick. I think that's a lot of people's, kind of dream. Whether DJ Reader's back here or not, the Bengals were not able to stuff the run. This is an absolute monster against the run. And, he gets some push up the middle. So it's not going to be a ton. He's not necessarily going to be on the field all 3 downs because he's a large man that needs some breaks. But there's a lot to like with Sweat. Tell us a little more about him.
Yeah, we were all speculating he was at 375.
Yeah.
For the Senior Bowl weigh-in. It's so weird. This is the second weigh-in deal they've had down there in 4 years. Devontae Smith, on the flip side of it, didn't weigh in either, but that's because he was light. So this was the opposite of that.
There was not much that man could do to put it on either.
No, but T'Vondre Sweat, oh my God. I think everybody saw that rep of the one-on-one where he basically folded Bo Limmer, the Arkansas center, over like an accordion. It was just awesome, the power he's got. And I'll say this: if we're in the market for a nose tackle, and you have to think that they are, it's him and
right here,
and
McKinley,
that's it.
McKinley Jackson, I think, would be the other name you could mention. Maybe like more of a third round. He's not probably if you took him in the second. I think that's a reach. You're taking him, third to fourth round is more his spot for Jackson. But there is not much.
There isn't much as far as nose go. And I think ultimately Reader comes back maybe on a 1-year deal. Yeah. I don't know what the market's going to be for him coming off the surgery there, but it would be nice to have Sweat and him next year at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could learn the NFL ways from Reader, as succeeding him in a way. And like the person commented earlier, you fixed the defensive line in a 24-hour span if you can draft Johnny Newton in round 1 and Sweat in round 2.
Yeah, or Murphy. You bring both the Texas boys in. Either way, I think your D-line is
right. And maybe Byron Murphy is another guy that could be in play at 18. We didn't talk about him earlier. He's definitely more of the pass rush on the interior. He was originally slated to play in the Senior Bowl, but pulled out once that first round buzz started getting on.
I would have liked to seen him.
Yeah, the old agent there. I think I saw Jim Nagy tweet out, said thank Daniel Jeremiah for that because he had I think Byron Murphy as his top 10 prospects, and it's like, well, appreciate that because the agent pulled him out of the game not long after. So it would have been nice to see him down here. But Murphy's a hell of a player, man. He's got some pretty raw power too, rushing up the middle. So yeah, he would be a nice consolation if you can't get Newton, and he was on the board at 18 as well. If Bowers is also gone.
Yeah, and the difference for me, and because I've seen some people having Murphy over Newton, and I'm just like, I do not see it. But I mean, one thing specifically is the production for multiple years from Newton that we've seen. I mean, this guy was leading in pressures, the year before this year, so he's been doing it a little longer. I think both of them are capable of being on the field all 3 downs. I think they can, they can play the run and stop the pass and get some pressure. But overall, to me, I'm still higher on Newton. But what would be the difference between those 2 prospects for you personally?
Newton and Murphy?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. When my board comes out this week, probably not a lot.
Right.
I think Murphy will probably end up – I think he's going to end up as probably in the top 15 for me. Newton in my last board, I believe, was in the top 10 he was number 8 on my board. So
yeah, I've got him at 10 on mine.
Yeah. So and I don't think that's going to change much for me. I don't know that my top 10 is going to change very much at all on my overall board, but yeah, but Murphy's definitely going to rise up into that top 20 area for me, which would fit perfectly with the value there at pick 18.
Now, we'll go ahead and get the third round, then maybe we'll talk about some of those guys in the I don't want to talk too much about some of those guys in the top 10, but, maybe briefly on some of them. But the third round, you took Javon Foster from Missouri. I think he's been more of a left tackle there. That was one thing. Christian Jones kind of had a decent Senior Bowl. I thought he looked just, I don't know, a little stiff. But I guess this Jones is a guy who played soccer and didn't really start playing football until later in high school. So, and he's played more right tackle. Another Texas guy. There's a ton. I did a draft the other day and just selected 4 Texas guys right off the rip. And if you could have gave me Jonathan Brooks somewhere in there, I could have selected 5 potentially.
Yeah, Christian Jones, an older prospect. This was his 6th year at Texas. 6. So the upside there is maybe lower than even Foster, who was a 5th-year player at Missouri. I'm sorry, he was also a 6-year player. So the upside will be limited with either of those guys. That's where you're hoping you're getting your plug and play, or guys that can come in and compete with a journeyman vet at right tackle, so to speak. If you're drafting them in the 3rd round, where the upside is lower than, say, if you were to, in the 2nd round, go with a Kingsley Su'a-Matea from BYU.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Or even a Roger Rosengarten from Washington.
Yeah,
who
I was going to mention him.
Definitely higher on now than I was maybe coming in the Senior Bowl week, because that national championship game was fresh on my mind there, and he just got abused by Michigan in the national title game. But he looked great this week of practice. So I wouldn't be opposed to him. Jordan Morgan from Arizona is another guy I think has some upside as well. And Patrick Paul from Houston. Like I said, I think those are more of your mid-2nd round picks, as opposed to where Foster and Jones, I think, are going to be who you would target in that 3rd area. But I will say this tackle class is deep, man, as well as the interior offensive line class, very deep. So good year for that. And we'll see. But it always gets weird for me. Like Duke Tobin, those guys, when those position classes are deep, they seem to ignore them. And it's like, I don't understand that. They did it a few years ago with wide receiver as well, when it was one of the best wide receivers. And last year with tight end, and they just completely ignore it. So I don't know. I'd like to think if they ignored the offensive line for 7 rounds in April, there'd be a riot.
Yes.
Now, there's a few guys that I kind of had higher. You already mentioned Rosengarten. I have him more close to that 3rd round as a potential right tackle to come in. And I would still want like a Jermaine Illuminor in free agency on a 1 year or something. I don't think I'd want to throw him out there day one. But I do like his ceiling. I think he's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's still a younger guy that I think has a lot of good football. And at the Senior Bowl, like you said, I think somebody posted the clips from every one of his reps where he was just pretty much shut down the whole week. And that's impressive because you're going against top-end talent. So good for him. A couple other guys I want your opinion on for kind of the mid-round area. Blake Fisher from Notre Dame, who's been more a right tackle. What are kind of your thoughts on him? We'll start with that guy.
It's funny. I mean, it's like you don't even think about him. Like, is he injured? Why was he not at the Senior Bowl? Or the Shrine Bowl for that matter? I mean, he was a 3rd-year guy. He was eligible to play. I mean, it's got to be an injury there for you not to invite a starting Notre Dame offensive tackle to one of these games.
Right.
Multi-year starter at Notre Dame.
Multi-year starter, right. So I don't think there had to be some sort of injury issue there. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he doesn't get a whole lot of attention thanks to Joe Alt being on the other side there, who's going to go probably in the top, at the least the top 10, right? So, I'm anxious to see it, how he fared. I think Blake Fisher may be in consideration that 3rd round, maybe 4th round, developmental type guy as only a 3rd-year player.
Yeah, I've got Fisher and Rosengarten kind of around that 3rd round area. In my 4th round, we already talked about Christian Jones. Matt Goncalves, who from Pitt, he can play inside, he can play outside. Just watching him, I was like, man, this dude's just rock solid. He feels like one of those guys, no matter where you stick him, he'll get the job done. I got him as another 4th round guy, but kind of higher up. And then Delmar Glace, who's played center, he's played left tackle. I love the player. Like, he just looks good on the football field, and I'm like, if he's got where he can pretty much play all 5 positions potentially, I went ahead and listed him at tackle because I just liked his tape at left tackle that much. And I thought a lot of places were listing him at center. Maybe some places had him at guard. And I'm like, okay, this guy's got my attention. So talk about those guys in any order.
Well, I'll talk about Delmar Glaze specifically because he was a guy I had thought nothing of before the Senior Bowl week, and then after seeing those one-on-one reps, I'm like, holy crap, where's this guy been? So now that's one of my things to do in the next few weeks is go back and watch some Maryland games to see what I may have missed. Why was I not on this guy ahead of time? But man,
super athletic, like great feet.
Oh, he was so fluid in those drills at tackle. Now I'll say this: during the guard drills, I thought he struggled a little bit, and I think he's definitely more of a tackle. I'm considering him a tackle only at this point. I'm sure.
I know he played some center at Maryland. Yeah. I think that's the other main position if you were going to try him on the inside. But I'm with you. I think he looked good at tackles. Keep him at tackle.
Yeah, he'll be making a big rise on my tackle board there.
Parker liked him too.
Yeah, whenever and on my big board when it comes out on Tuesday, Delmar Glaze will definitely be. He may end up in my top 100.
And it's not crazy. I have him at 118, but it's one of those that I love the film so much, and I plan on doing, because most of mine comes off of maybe watching 2 games. I'd like to get another 2 games in before I really say, okay, this is where they're ranked, because we are going to put out a draft guide that kind of helps Project Game Day. Man, there's a big long message there from a Denise there. Bengals have what it takes to get back. I agree, Denise. And just kind of post that up there. It'll take the whole screen.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah. Houday. I'll just say that to that.
Yeah, Houday.
You typed all that out, so I'm going to post it up there, and we can't get back to the Super Bowl.
We talked about before we came on air. The Super Bowl's in New Orleans next year, baby. That's 2 hours up the road from the house, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. It's hard for you to get to Cincinnati. So, just make it to the Super Bowl, guys. So, Brian, go to the
I-10, baby. 2 hours west. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But, Delmar Glaze was a stud. I love that guy. And third round, pick 80, whatever, sign me up.
Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with it at all.
So, Brian, I got to ask you this. The one Georgia offensive tackle, Mims, I think his name is. I know he didn't play. I don't think he played in the Senior Bowl, but what concerns me with him is I believe he only played 7 or 8 games. I know that they said
8 starts at Georgia.
Yeah, 8 starts at Georgia. Doesn't that concern you a little bit? Like you're drafting this guy maybe the first round, but this guy only played like 7 or 8 games. Would you trust this guy after just 7 games to protect Joe Burrow?
Yes.
Yes, with slight hesitation.
Slight hesitation with the yes, but he's so good in those 8 starts, though, man.
Yeah.
It's and I'll say this: the Bengals have had no issues drafting players that have had injury issues. Maybe that's not the best thing either.
Yeah.
But or guys that don't even work out at the combine, they seem to be okay with that, right? Jonah Williams, Billy Price. I mean,
right.
Yes. Not the best examples to make the case for drafting Amarius Mims, but no, I think he's going to be if he stays healthy, right? I think he's plug and play right tackle starter from day one.
Now, Arrow's joining us. Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
Are you with no facial hair? This is just
you shaved your beard.
Put that facial hair back on.
Wow.
What's going on, fellas?
I don't know about this. Maybe Derek shouldn't have came on today.
Yeah. So anyway, Brian, this is our other co-host, Orange Arrow. This is Brian Bosarge of NFL Draft Countdown. Just talking draft prospects.
We were talking Mims. So Mims, if you're a little hesitant, but you love Tyler Guyton like Arrow does, Guyton is a 1-year starter at Oklahoma as well. So, I mean, like you mentioned, Brian, phenomenal athletically. But you could see, and if you want to move him to left tackle, he did not look natural over there. You look at the traits and you say, well, he could do either one. I think he's still raw no matter where you put him, but he definitely looked more natural at right.
Guyton's another one that I like the idea of pairing him with a 1-year.
100%. That's what, yes.
Yeah.
And our guy, Jermaine Illuminor, who I did a great edit for, he was talking the other day, all this Joe Burrow slander is ridiculous. He was talking today, Big Willie should be in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous that
he's pandering. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Yes, this man's doing what he should be doing. Because last year he was a guy on our radar. We thought, okay, at that point wasn't even thinking Orlando Brown. We're thinking Jonah left tackle, who's going to play right tackle. So we were thinking he might be a guy last year. and honestly thought he might get a decent deal. PFF grades, they're not the be all end all, but they look pretty damn good on the guy. And then he only got a 1 year, $3.5 million deal with the Raiders, and PFF grades again. Not going back and watching all the snaps, but look pretty damn solid. So I'm not opposed to a guy like that. I just, and then it does open up Guyton, Mims. You've got that insurance, and then hey, guess what? If those guys are a little ahead of schedule, they end up taking the job at some point. That's fine because you're hoping they're your right tackle for 10 years.
What if Olaf Ashanu falls to 18?
And it's been happening some of these mocks, and I'm like, stop this. Because I've got him and all honestly at like 4 and 5 overall or something ridiculous on my board. I think they're both just plug and play left tackle prospects. But
right. Fashanu's 6 on my board. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people it seems like they're getting down on him a little bit.
That Ohio State game, he didn't have his best game. And I think people watch that and they go, oh, we see the concerns. But it's like, dude's been rock solid for multiple years. I would take him, Brian. That's my answer.
Well, yes. I mean, I you run that card up.
Yeah, and I figure out who's playing where. And
you figure it out. You draft it and you figure it out.
I like this comment, Derek.
Best 5 start, right?
Antoine just hopped on. He didn't know if that was Arrow or his younger brother, Bo. He's going to see himself out with that one.
It's just, yeah.
Go ahead, Craig.
No. But Brian, so we were talking corners one time. There's 2 guys out of Alabama. I know Arnold's probably better, but come on. We got to have Kool-Aid. I mean, oh, yeah.
Greg just loves the name.
I love Kool-Aid. Come on, Brian. I know you can't pick my name. But come on, man. Kool-Aid.
I would be surprised if corner is in consideration at 18, right?
Thank you. I've been saying that.
Didn't you? I mean, you drafted Turner last year in the second. You got Cam Taylor-Britt, who's emerged, and Owuzie is a free agent, right?
Yes.
So if you're drafted one in the 4th round, sure.
Right.
I don't know about maybe even the 3rd, but I don't know. I don't know about the 1st round. I have Kool-Aid ahead of Terry and Arnold on my board.
Not me. I love me some Terry and Arnold. That's my.
I do as well, but I can tell you that I may be moving Quinyon Mitchell ahead of both of them this time on Wednesday or Tuesday, I should say.
I'm with you. I don't see it as a 1st round need because I think Turner played a ton of snaps. We did earlier in the week a cornerback free agency show. Just went through some of the names that are out there, their PFF grades, things like that. I would rather go that route, and maybe it's even Cheeto back for a year or 2.
Yeah,
because he looked pretty good down the stretch. Coming off the ACL. I think he's only going to be better this next year. So if somebody's not giving him a big amount of money, getting ready to turn 29, if you could get him on a 1 year, then I'm not even worried about it. DJ Ivy looked impressive in limited snaps, going to be outside. I think they draft a guy in the mid rounds. It's probably going to be more slot just because Mike Hilton, also great player, getting up there in age and will be entering his final year of his contract this year. So I could see them drafting a more slot corner. And is there any names that just stick out to you at that? Why we're
if he was on the board in the 3rd round, I would love Mike Sainristil from Michigan.
Oh, 100%.
I think we drafting the defensive backs. Keep it going.
I mean, it seems to be the way. I love him as a slot guy. I think there's some of these other bigger corners are going to move inside as well. Guys that might be available. Just looking at from the Senior Bowl, I thought Cam Hart from Notre Dame. I think he's more of an outside corner. Had a good week. Shaw Smith Wade from Washington State. Didn't have the best week of practice, but
solid.
But during the game, 2 interceptions. I think he had 3 pass breakups. And Jarvis Brownlee Jr. from Louisville, guy I
not
really
even on my
love.
radar. I'm going to be honest.
I really love that guy. After the week, he had a tremendous week of practice at Senior Bowl, and the game itself had an interception. And maybe later on, 5th, 6th round, Fresno State Carlton Johnson was the fastest guy at Senior Bowl practice. Since they started doing GPS tracking at Senior Bowl practice, I think 6 or 7 years ago, he is only the second. He's the second fastest player behind Tariq Woolen from UTSA, now with the Seahawks. in GPS time, went like 22.5 miles per hour during practice, some kind of ridiculous number. But he's on the smaller end too, though.
Right. Someone tell Derek he looks pretty.
Yeah.
A guy I wasn't super high on anyway.
I'm just getting bashed in the chat right now.
People are not used to it. You know, you've had facial hair.
I need a couple more
years.
Listen, I have. Oh, I just said it.
Listen.
No, but I have shaved my beard. Sarah and I have been married 12 years now, I think.
You usually go with like a weird stash or something, you know, so you can
I'll take the goatee. I normally keep the goatee going, yeah.
Right. It's usually not just full, straight up, clean shaven.
I was told divorce would be in the offing if I ever shaved my mustache and goatee.
Yeah, I would divorce myself, honestly, if I shaved it. That's why I'm always careful trimming that thing up.
I told the wife, I said, I'm not getting chocolates. I'm not getting flowers for Valentine's Day. I said, I'll shave my face for you. So I was very frugal in my decisions this coming weekend.
Chop said he'd date you. He didn't say you didn't look pretty. He just, hadn't seen your face. But a guy that I thought, and I think everyone will say kind of, yeah, I think everyone will say he kind of moved down the board. Kalen King. I was already thinking second or third round guy. Anyways.
I'm out.
Maybe the Buckeye fan in me was already thinking that because I've seen him get abused for 2 straight seasons when they've played them. He just his confidence is gone right now.
There was not a worse player on the field at the Senior Bowl over those 3 days.
Tez Walker tried.
Tez Walker tried, but at least Tez Walker was fast.
Yes,
he dropped every pass that was thrown at him, but at least
I seen him beat Kalen King in a 1-on-1 for a touchdown. So yeah, Kalen King. I mean, and you hate to kick a guy while he's down, but damn, it's just unfortunate for him because he's a younger guy that came in too. So he was one of the guys like Michael Hall that showed out, who came in early. So that's another D tackle, I guess, why I'm mentioning him. Any thoughts on him? Undersized, but
but he's got that pass rush upside as well. But he becomes I'm not going to say redundant on the roster, but to me it kind of was because he's almost fits the same size profile as Sam Hubbard, Cam Sample, guys you've already got on the team. Unless you're showing one of those guys out, I think you're stacking on stacking on stacking with Mike Hall. He's going to look good for somebody. He may look good up the road there for that other team in Ohio, but he's I think it's just he becomes the same thing you've already got. If you're drafting him, he doesn't offer anything different. I guess.
Now we've talked a lot of trenches overall, some corner here. We've talked some tight end. Try to hit a couple. I don't think receivers high on the list, but Tyler Boyd is leaving, most likely. He's not going to be re-signed. I don't think Charlie Jones, who played on the outside a lot at Purdue anyways, but, is projected to maybe be a slot guy for us. But there's kind of a hole in the slot receiver spot. This guy is one of my personal favorites. I got him as a third-round guy. He's in my top 100 at 98. Malik Washington, he wasn't at the Senior Bowl, but he was at the Shrine Bowl from Virginia. Hugely productive. Was blowing people away. One of the most impressive guys from all reports from the Shrine Bowl. I think Shane kind of wrote him up on Draft Countdown as well. So thoughts on him? I like Jacob Cowling. Small. He was at the Senior Bowl, but I love his tape. So just some of your thoughts on who maybe could be slot receiver options.
Jacob Cowling, I'll start with him because it's a funny story. But Jacob Cowling, I think, is one of the best pure route runners in this draft class.
Yeah.
But my God, is he small? 167 pounds, like 5'8" or something like he measured in at. We were at the media event Wednesday afternoon after the practices, and he was.
Who brought their kid? Which one? Who brought their kid?
He was standing next to. I don't know if you follow John Vogel. He writes for at Draft Vogel on Twitter. He writes for NFL Draft Lounge. But he's a small guy. I mean, like this dude's probably 5'9", all of 160 pounds, and he almost dwarfed Jacob Cowling standing side by side. It was just weird to see. Who was the other guy you mentioned? Malik Washington. tremendous production in Virginia this year. Right. I think he transferred into Virginia from, I feel like
Northwestern. Yeah,
yes.
It was. So you're not going to show as much at Northwestern. They're just not an explosive.
But he did at Virginia this year, and I say he should have been at the Senior Bowl, but I don't know that they really, if he would have been there, I don't know. He was on that borderline spot, but it was.
I would have loved to see him there because I think
he stood out at the Shrine because he was easily one of the top 4 players on that roster.
Yeah.
We can. We beat that horse to death on the Draft Countdown podcast, so we don't need to talk about the Shrine Bowl right now. But Malik Washington, I think, is good. I don't know if 3rd round is where I have him. Maybe I think I'll probably settle in that 4th round area.
Yeah, that's where I had him. I bumped him up. I loved his tape so much, and then when he had a good week, I said, you know what, he's getting a slight bump. And Tez Walker was the guy that kind of dropped for me.
I don't think 3rd round. I don't think these guys will be available at the 3rd round spot. I think there'd be more 2nd round picks. So that's why I don't think they're going to be in play here. But Ricky Pearsall from Florida, I think he's a big slot, but another tremendous catch radius route running guy. Same with Roman Wilson from Michigan. I think he'd be another. I feel like we're talking about Michigan a lot, but I think he'd be another
Michigan. Guy. They win the title. I got to hear about him on here. No.
but I'll tell you a guy I love day 3, probably 6th, maybe even 7th round. I don't know because I don't think he's going to time all that well, but I think his shuttles are going to be great. I love Drake Stoops at Oklahoma.
Okay, you tell me about him. Not on my board. Haven't watched him. Is that Bob's son or?
That is Bob Stoops' son, and he is about as Caucasian of a wide receiver as you're going to get. And he fits every bit of role that you would expect a Julian Edelman or the other little white guy that New England had.
So he's a hard worker.
That's always the comp.
Hard worker.
Yeah.
Hard worker. First in, last out. But Drake Stoops, man, he was always open this year at Oklahoma and highly productive guy there. He also stood out in the Shrine Bowl practices. But yes, I love Drake Stoops in that late day 3, 6th, 7th round dart throwing portion of the draft that we see. And another guy, Senior Bowl guy that's jumped out to me that wasn't on my radar before. Tulane's Jaquan Jackson is another guy I think.
Quick. I hadn't watched him
very
after.
Quick. He's another guy that I think would fit in that 4th, 5th round slot area. But I mean, they may not even look at that because I don't want to make Greg's head swell over here any, but could Yoshi Voss not do that as a big slot?
Or does Chase play more slot?
I think, maybe they become interchangeable almost outside in, inside out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see them doing something like that. One guy I've been a fan of since last year, I think last year is when he transferred. But Luke McCaffrey, what's your thoughts on him possibly playing the slot?
Yeah, another Senior Bowl guy.
He's another super athlete, right? And he looked good at Senior Bowl practice and had a great behind the back catch in the
one-handed catch. Yeah.
They only had 3 wide receivers on that team playing the game, active on the game, by the way. That was
I know you talked about that. I'll let you talk about that
that's like I said, I've beat that to death as well. But him, Tez Walker, and I can't remember the other guy now, but they were the only 3 that were active on. It was wild.
Was Rosemary Jackson on that squad?
No, he was on the other team. But I had to see way too much Brevin Span Ford on the field because they were running a lot of 12 personnel.
Now you are not high on him, and he caught a touchdown, and some people are going to be like, "Well, look at his size. He did nothing at Minnesota." And once again, not another prolific passing team, but at the same point in time, the guy's what you think he should be doing and what he does on the field just isn't quite the same. He has a little blocking ability, good size, can catch the ball, but I'm down on him. He's more like a 6th round guy.
He's worse athletic Drew Sample.
Oh,
Dale is the number 1 Drew Sample fan.
You're talking about Dale is the number 1.
Sorry.
Listen, I didn't like 2nd round pick Drew Sample.
Fifth round pick Drew Sample, tremendous.
Yeah, and one year deal last year for cheap. Drew Sample.
1 year prove it deal. Yeah,
I like that Drew Sample. If that happens again, I'm great with it. Move him around, let him block, put him in the backfield to block.
I spent
The second round pick,
spent
Drew
4
Sample, when
painstaking
you
years
traded down. They traded down
picking up
there.
for Drew
Now you got me
Sample.
going. They traded down when A.J. fucking Brown was on the board.
Brian, where was Drew Sample on your board? Did you have him as a second round pick? I don't think
He's
anything.
like a 5th rounder.
No, I think I had. I that's why I said 5th round. I think that's about because I thought he had a good week at the Senior Bowl, and he was a great guy to talk to. I interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. I thought he was a great guy.
Great guy.
That's
what I
hell of a
always
guy.
say. Great guy.
But no, sir, not in the second round.
Yeah.
That was that the same draft as Dawson Knox?
I can't remember, but I know he had hardly no production, and it wasn't like Washington didn't throw the ball. That's when Jake Browning, who we know can throw the ball and threw the ball a lot in high school and threw the ball a lot in college. And it's like, this guy didn't produce there. What the hell do we think we're getting? And I've always said I think that was when the Bengals was first getting their staff together. I don't know who the hell said that one, but that person did not do a good job.
There was, I mean, they literally, I thought some of those coaches met at the Senior Bowl. I mean, that's how close they were.
That was the year that no, I'm sorry, that was the year before. Okay. That was the year before they coached the Senior Bowl. They coached the Senior Bowl in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
The tight ends drafted after Drew Sample was Dawson Knox. He was one.
Okay. He was my favorite one of the year.
Foster Moreau was another that was drafted after him. After that, it really wasn't anything overly. Now, Hawkinson and Fant went in the first round, and Irv Smith went 2 picks before. But it's not, other than Hawkinson, was anything really out of that class.
I was going to say it's kind of, the draft was kind of, in my opinion, was kind of like this year where you had 2 really good guys at the top, and then the rest of the guys were just kind of, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, pick your player, and that's how Sample probably moved up their board.
We've talked a lot about the Senior Bowl because obviously that's where I'm from and from this area and everything. But it's very important that Bengals fans get familiar with everybody that was on that Senior Bowl roster, because every year that Zach Taylor's been the coach, they've drafted at least 2 players that played during the Senior Bowl, including, I think, was it 4 the year that they coached it, because they got that was the year they drafted the 3 linebackers from the game. Wilson, Davis Gaither, and Bailey all played in the Senior Bowl that year.
Right.
Yeah, he played it the year before.
Yeah, Bailey, that was it. Yeah.
But Brian, so my question to you is this: do you have faith in Charlie Jones? And well, we don't need to ask about Yossi Boss because we all have faith in him. But no, in all seriousness, do you have faith in both? Do you think there's a need to draft a wide receiver? Say if Tyler Boyd leaves, we know we have T for 1 more year, hopefully. Do you think do you have faith in Yossi Boss and Charlie Jones?
I do. My only thing with either, especially as we were winding up down the stretch, I think this might have been, and I know they were still trying to get the playoffs and all that, and the freaking Jake Browning, man. Can I cuss? I don't know if I can cuss on this show.
Oh yeah, we don't.
No.
But fucking Jake Browning, man. Who saw that shit coming, right?
I liked him, and I thought he should be our backup quarterback, but that was about as far.
Holy crap!
Hey.
But yeah,
you got his jersey when he was.
I had his jersey
starter.
But yeah, I thought that maybe they should have been trying a little more experimentation with Yoshi Boss and Charlie Jones down the stretch.
Yeah, Jones's age is a concern in the injuries. Yeah. So, and Yoshi, he was a good track guy at Princeton, so I think folks.
He's still learning football. I think.
Yes,
I agree.
Could he play the slot though? Or do you just stick him at outside receiver?
I think Arrow mentioned there. And we said a little bit earlier. I think he could play in the slot, or you're going to see a lot more Jamar in the slot, and just keep teams guessing. Yes. A little bit. It opens up the formation a little bit, and maybe opens up the playbook a little bit more. If you've got the more top end athletes you can have on the field at one time, right? Yeah. Is great. I think we're going to see. I mean, we haven't talked about running back a lot here. I think they're going to draft another one of those as well. But I think we're going to see a lot more Chase Brown next year than Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and I kind of we'll get you out of here soon. But running back and linebacker are the 2 I want to end with. So, Derek, I'll let you talk about your running back you want to mention. My guy is Ray Davis. I love some.
Yeah, another one of my guys. Oh, yeah. I Marshawn Lloyd is my guy, and I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on him. I was thinking more like do you see Travion coming back? Because this guy was known for his pass protection, his lateral agility stuff, and quickness, open field quickness, and I was just wanted to see what you thought on him.
Travion's been surviving as the number 4 running back or number 3 running back and kick returner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of moved up to 3 this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah,
I'll be brutally honest here. I had Travion Williams as running back 1 in his draft class.
Dude, he was hugely productive at A&M.
He has not played up to that since coming into the league, obviously, but I loved Travion Williams coming out of college. You mentioned Ray Davis. I think he's a dual threat, running, receiving guy. But Marshawn Lloyd, it's a touchy subject for me, as I love Marshawn Lloyd as a player, but I loved him more at South Carolina than I did at Southern Cal, obviously. But no, as far at the Senior Bowl, Marshawn Lloyd was the most consistent running back day in, day out, in each day of practice. Didn't play in the game. I'm not sure what happened there, but during the 3 days of practice, I thought he was great. He's so the ability to cut in the hole is something you don't see from a lot of these other running backs. And I think he has some breakaway speed. I don't think he's going to have the top end speed that some of these other running backs may have, but I think he's a guy that could contribute. And I don't think you're drafting a running back until the 6th or 7th round. So I'm not sure that Lloyd or Ray Davis are even going to be on the board by the time they decide. I see something in the comments, Jawar Jordan. Yeah. That guy's good. He pulled out of the Senior Bowl right before the week he was on the original roster and pulled out. I like Dazon Edwards from Georgia, guy that did come down here for the game, is a guy I like. Maybe it's day 3.
The Dylan Labe hype is a little too much for me. He's a receiver. He's Rex Burkhead who went in the 6th round.
I think you're right. Isaiah Davis, stud.
They have a bunch of studs on that the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, the South Dakota. They're the new North Dakota State. South Dakota State is the new North Dakota State as far as FCS schools.
I was watching McCormick, who played in the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah.
The guard.
Speaking of Shrine Bowl running backs, a guy I thought should have been in Mobile and will die on this sword, Frank Gore Jr. from Southern Miss, is a guy I followed all 4 years of his career. Southern Miss is before South Alabama had FBS football, Southern Miss was the closest FBS football team to Mobile. And I spent a lot of my formative 20s in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We'll leave it at that. But Frank Gore Jr., great player. I think he's probably going to be more of a change of pace back at the NFL just because of his size. He's not a battering ram like his dad was.
No,
but I will say, I was it was the Lending Tree Bowl last year. It's something else now, but I was at that game when he set the FBS bowl game rushing record, like 360 yards rushing in the game. It was just so awesome to see in person. But he's a guy I would look at 6th, 7th round. Same with Kamani Vidal from Troy, another highly productive running back. I think you can get on day 3, and even into the undrafted territories, guys like Blake Watson from Memphis, LaDamian Webb from South Alabama. Those are some guys I think that bring into a camp, see what happens.
Yeah, Rasheen Ali from Marshall had a really good first day and then injured his bicep and is out 4 to 6 months. So he may have went from moving up to 5th or 6th round to may go
undrafted. Yeah, that's
do any running backs go in the first? I know that Benson out of Florida State is the top.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at this point if a running back goes in the first 2 rounds. I think we're gonna set a record for the lowest drafted first running back in the modern draft era in this year's class. I think we go into round 3 before we see Trey Benson or Braylon Allen come off the board.
Yeah, I got Benson and Brooks, and they're both, like you said, at earliest 2nd round guys. Brooks coming off an injury also.
Brooks I think may have been RB1 before the ACL tear. Yeah.
for sure. And here's one more name before we move
All right.
on to linebacker. Jalen Wright, super fast. Tennessee, I would have liked to see him play at the Senior Bowl.
He was another one. Him and Jawar Jordan both pulled out of the Senior Bowl like a week before it. I assume injuries of some kind pulled them out. They were replaced by Dejon Edwards and I can't remember the other one that ended up coming in late.
Was Badal
Amani
initially
Bailey
on it?
from TCU.
Okay.
Amani Bailey from TCU was the other they added late. They brought him up from the Hula Bowl, and he
I
ended up.
liked his tape, but he didn't have a great Senior Bowl league.
But Wright's pure speed. I think he's the home run hitter guy. I don't know much else that he offers initially. Amani Bailey ended up being the leading rusher of the game because they only had 2 running backs on that team.
Yeah.
Him and Cody Schrader from Missouri, who the answer is no to me. I think he's tapped out from what he's going to be.
Yeah. I've still got Schrader as a 5th. Dylan Johnson's a tough one. Another guy I've got close to Schrader.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he can be, but I mean, they ran the shit out of him this year at Washington.
Bucky Irving's fun. The Oregon running back. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got him pretty slotted in 3rd round area. Will Shipley too is fun. I don't know how he'll hold up in the NFL, but he's
Is he related to Jordan Shipley or no?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Could be.
Linebackers, Peyton Wilson, I've got him third overall linebackers, but it's the injuries, shoulders, extensive injury history. Coming out of high school, had a knee. So there's a lot with that. Medicals are going to be huge for him. Tape-wise, he's right up there production-wise the past 2 years. But a guy I just love that I feel is still so underrated. And I think your boards go on the mock draft, NFL mock draft consensus, don't they? So, he's still 170 or something on there, and that's Trevin Wallace, who was at the Senior Bowl from Kentucky. He's just turning 21 years old. He's good at – he showed out in coverage a little bit, 6'1", 240, good downhill thumper. I don't know if he's starting day one. I think he's a little more athletic Ivan Pace, and I know Ivan Pace went undrafted, but I had Ivan Pace as a 3rd-round guy.
Ivan Pace shouldn't have went undrafted.
No, that was criminal.
Yeah.
So Trevin Wallace, Peyton Wilson, and Cedric Gray. I thought Cedric Gray had a good Senior Bowl game, especially. Thoughts on any of those three?
I lump Cedric Gray and Trevin Wallace almost in the same category as I think they're linebackers who look like linebackers, but they also can cover and they give you pass rush upside. Especially Cedric Gray. I think he had 2.5 sacks against South Carolina in the season opener. So those are guys there. Another guy that was at the Senior Bowl that kind of does similar things, but I'm not as high on as Maris Lufau from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've got him as a 5th-round guy.
Yeah, I think that's right. A guy who stood out to me during the Senior Bowl game and in the practices, especially in the coverage portion of it, was Edifwan Ulafosio from Washington.
Yeah.
He's
another guy with injuries, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
A 6-year player. He's an older prospect as well. A guy who was supposed to play in the Senior Bowl backed out, I think, is going to go in that third round area, maybe 4th, as Tyron Hopper from Missouri.
I've got him
production guy.
Top 4th area.
But linebacker, I think, is going to maybe see the running back treatment as do we
I don't have
a
a
guy,
1st round. I don't.
Do we have a guy that gets drafted in the first 2 rounds? If it is, I think it's going to be Eichenberg from Ohio State or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson, and that would be just a pure upside guy.
Yeah, I like Trotter the most, but they all have their flaws. Edgerrin Cooper is frustrating.
Could Trotter be better than his dad was?
No.
I doubt
he
it.
doesn't have near the size his dad does.
Okay.
He's taller than his dad, I think. We won't actually know that.
He's listed at 6 foot even.
He's 6 foot even, so he's probably going to be 5'11", 5'10 and a half, which would actually put him in line with his dad. But he doesn't have the 230-pound frame that his dad had, but he's much more athletic. So,
yeah, I was rewatching linebackers, so I kind of went back and forth on who I want at number 1, but I think it will be Trotter, and it has the upside and the flashes. And he was pretty productive for the last 2 years.
A high upside guy is you're going to get for a guy who's been in college for 6 years, but I still think there's a lot of meat on the bone And I think in the 6th, 7th round is a place to take a guy like that who's going to probably be a special teams demon, but can give you a little pass rush juice too. Long arms, great wingspan. Was at the Hula Bowl, got called up to the Shrine, and that's Richard Gibonor from Troy. Just file that name away as a guy to go back and watch a little bit. Everybody talks about Javon Solomon, who I think is much more of a tweener pass rusher at the next level for Troy, who had 16 and a half sacks this year, led FBS in sacks. But I think Gibonor, to me, and I'm writing a Valentine's Day column on Wednesday about prospects that I love in this draft class. Not necessarily the best prospects, but prospects that I love, and Gibonor is going to be on that list.
We will end it with this because your mock draft from February 5th, check it out on draftcountdown.com, everybody. So Overzealous says the tight end Bowers, if he gets to 15, it probably would have to be 14 because I think Colts are the big one there. If he slides down at 15, you'd want to get ahead of him. Would you trade up for him since you picked him at 18? You're very high on him. Talked about it early in the show. And if you guys missed some trenches and stuff, that was also early in the show. It's on YouTube. Go check it back out. But would you trade up for him? And
would I? Yes. Will the Bengals?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Bengals trading up in the first round is like a pipe dream.
31 other teams would trade up.
Yeah.
If that was a piece they needed. The Bengals, I don't know.
They value them draft picks, man.
And what would you have to give up? A third, you think, to move up 4 spots?
From 18 to 14? Probably. And that's just not something they're going to do.
No.
If it was a 4th, maybe, because then they might try to trade back in the 2nd or 3rd.
They weren't going to get an extra 5th and a 6th this year. So
seems like it.
Yeah, so if you were getting an extra 3rd this year, maybe. But the 5th, that's not going to be enough to get up. Like maybe 4th, 5th, and 6th, they would have to put all of those together to get up, and that's just not something that A, Mike Brown's going to B, Duke Tobin's going to do. You know, they're just not going to do it. They love them draft picks, and all of them made it last year, right? I'm not.
Yeah, Ivy was the last pick, and he was looking impressive before the ACL.
So that it's rare. I mean, that those day 3 guys actually all make it. Normally, that's just a dart throw, and they actually did a good job there. So,
and a lot of them
especially with Andre Yosevach.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of them played pretty significant snaps there towards the end of the year.
Except for, like who was the 6th round pick last
year? They had
year?
2. It was Yosevach and it was Brad Robbins. So he played a lot, but people were like, the punter.
We didn't talk about that. Would you take Torrey Taylor?
I was going to say
6th or 7th round and just replace Robbins?
Yes, I would, for the reasons you said. Yes, they got production out of their guys last year, but if it's Super Bowl roster and they do what I want them to do, which is add about 5 to 6, tier 3 free agents that fills your holes more, then punter is still kind of a hole. Yeah, fill your holes. But I would. I mean, and I think he's the guy, right? And does somebody take him in the 4th or 5th?
Yeah, I think more than likely you'll end up seeing them not do that and bring in someone like the Vandy or Ryan Reckow from BYU or someone like that as a UDFA.
Yeah, and have a competition. And maybe Robbins takes a step because he wasn't bad at Michigan, but I don't know what his kicker buddy is in the Super Bowl, and damn Super Bowl might come down to him, and that'll be something because he had some struggles as a 3rd round pick this year in Jake Moody. So be interested to see how that goes. Poor kid as a rookie in there. Evan McPherson would make it. We know that.
Yes.
All right. I got one last question for you, and then if maybe we'll get you out of here after.
Yeah,
well, 2 questions. First question is
I got 5 questions. Okay, Brian. We'll get you out of here an hour from now.
Well, the first question, I don't know if you've dove into it a whole lot, but if you could, one guy that will be one of those guys that they bring in for the local pre-draft where they bring the guys in for workouts. Yeah. One local guy that you would say keep your eye on.
I mean, I'm going to say Jarvis Brownlee. I talked about him earlier. Louisville counts as local pro day, right?
Yeah.
for them. I see. I'm at a disadvantage here because I have no idea how many of these guys went to high school in Cincinnati. This is not my forte. I don't care less about. I don't give a two shits about any of these guys till they're 3 years out of high school. So,
yeah, I would say Brownlee at least be in Louisville. I don't know where he's from. But.
Yeah, I think that would, or Jawar Jordans we talked about would be another one. The two Louisville guys. Those are the only two that I know qualify as local college. How far is that? Like 70 miles from there?
It's like an hour and a half drive.
Yeah. Okay,
it's not miles, Greg. An hour and a half isn't miles.
Well, I go by.
I get where he's at though. That's how I say things too. So
Jamari Thrash at receiver, if it is going to be Louisville.
Yes,
guys,
and
Cincinnati guys. I don't know off the top of my head.
This is not a good year for UC draft prospects outside of Javon Briggs, the defensive tackle. Jawan Briggs, he might be the only guy.
And then Ohio State, like Eichenberg, I know you said you kind of have him higher. I have him more 5th, 6th round. I'm not super high on Eichenberg, but maybe he's the guy that comes in and, impresses in general. I know he's multi-year captain at Ohio State and things like that Zach Taylor and the Bengals tend to value. So,
yeah.
All right, Brian, I appreciate your time. We'll go ahead and get you out of here, bud. At Deep Fried Draft, at draftcountdown.com. Those are 2 main places to find you, right?
That is it. And we have our weekly podcast. We're going to do a live 1-round mock draft Wednesday night over at youtube.com/the draft countdown.
The draft, the like Ohio State.
The.
You might get copyright.
Well, I will say this: that I'm pretty sure that was done purposely because Shane, my partner, is an Ohio State alum. So,
hey, good for him, man. All right, last question: what is the score going to be Sunday?
Y'all are watching that?
Degenerate gambler Derek wants a score, so he can try.
I've already got my 10-leg, ready to go. I've got a couple other picks. I've bet on the Gatorade color. I'll
offer this. I'll say San Francisco wins 24-20, but I'm going under on the national anthem with Reba McEntire.
Now,
under.
See, there you go. That's what we need to know right there. Because
Derek probably is so excited for the Reba McEntire.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Look at his fucking shirt right
now. You can't see my shirt.
Fair enough. All right, Brian. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, guys. Anytime between now and draft, just reach out.
Absolutely,
good, man. Love it.
Right. Later, guys.
Hey, take care, bud.
Always very knowledgeable. Definitely.
Absolutely.
The draft countdown has been around for years, but Brian and Shane took over, as he said, about 3-4 years ago. So they've been running it. And it's honestly, it was kind of getting ran down to where nobody was updating too much of it. But that was one of the OG sites, so I think it's awesome that they kept that around for the draft because, now the draft is this and that. But the draft countdown was around for a long time.
Oh, no, Dale, that was the very first website I remember looking up was NFL Draft Countdown, probably like an 02 or a 3.
but they're putting a ton of stuff on there. And what, Derek?
I was going to say first website. But
that was the very first draft website. First draft website I remember.
I was thinking like when he said first website, I was thinking Pornhub, RedTube.
No.
It was like AOL.com.
No, like that was like the first draft website I ever remember. Now like there's so many I can't even keep track of. So that's cool. They're keeping it going.
Well,
one thing I heard, I don't know if you guys got to listen to Paul Dannard's podcast or not. But they brought up something about some pharmacy guy having a draft list that he was
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. Yeah, because it was the same as the Cowboys. I was like,
Farmer's Almanac.
When they started talking about that, I'm like, are you kidding me? People used to pay money for some random, Fitzgerald's pharmacy out where I am, but.
Dude, he lives. I think he's literally from not too far where I live. I know all about that. Yeah, I used to listen to him all the. Used to be on radio shows all the time. I haven't heard from him recently.
Well, that's not a glowing endorsement for selling some draft guides.
Yeah,
some random guy.
Speaking of,
thanks a lot, Derek.
No.
Santoria and I are putting out a draft guide that's going to have 230 prospects, pros, cons, final thoughts. height, weight, our personal rankings on these players. Yeah, it's not going to have everybody because it's 230, not 500. But 230 is a lot. Santori didn't want to go that high. I said, I can't cut it any lower. I'm sorry. I don't watch too many of these guys. But in exchange for a whole $1, we'll have more information on that. You know, you can buy it, Venmo, whatever, $1, which goes directly to Project Game Day to help get adults with special needs and military veterans to some NFL games this year. Already have 4 tickets generously donated by Matty Meyer. And then looking at another 4 with some of these being in the handicap section, which the Bengals said range anywhere between $90 and $300 per ticket. So tried to raise some money the best we can with Draft Guide and with the draft event on night 2 of the NFL, which will be at Midwest Best Barbecue.
Best!
So that draft event will have raffles, auctions, you know, and then an option for food via Midwest. So all those details will continue to come out, but definitely something, you know, just try to help some others when you're in a situation to do so. So, you know, if you guys are able to donate $1 in exchange for a draft guide, that's me kind of doing my biggest part on it. So
You guys want a sneak peek at one of the silent auction things?
and Houday to Joe. Thank you for the super
Houday,
chat, bro.
Joe. We love you,
One
bro.
thing we're going to be giving away or selling the silent auction. This is a autographed Jamar Chase football.
And if you're not in town, we plan on finding an auction site so you can bid online on these items. Tons of items. AJ Green autographed jersey, maybe a Tony Perez autographed jersey from the Reds. That Jamar Chase. I mean, Joe, there's a couple things he's tossing in. Just a whole bunch of items, you know, that these guys personally have that they're donating out of the generosity of their hearts. So, you know, if you're in the market for some memorabilia, there'll be plenty of it that you can bid on. You don't have to be. And Darth Bengal said dibs, by the way.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get Sarah to have like a picture laying down, and Crip can bid on that.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff, no, I didn't. I didn't, by the way.
Yeah, he still has facial hair.
Yeah.
And Joe also said, "Whoa, baby-faced arrow."
Yep. I not so sure I like it, but the wife does. That's all that matters.
Are you going to grow it back, or are you going to keep it shaved? Like, are we switching spots here? Because people are telling me I need to grow a beard now.
Yeah,
it's definitely coming back. It's coming back for sure.
you should have given your facial hair to Greg.
Yeah, that's what you should
Yeah,
do.
it's still in the garbage can if you want it, Greg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can send it to you.
Yeah.
You can glue it on your face for the next show.
It might be mixed in with some pubes, but you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this like a Scott Tetterman deal on South Park or something?
Oh man, that's great.
Greg, are you going to do a dance for us? It's Friday.
Oh no! That's
But you did the icky struggle.
no. I'm
struggle. That is
I'm wearing
name for
green
it.
shorts right now. We're not doing this.
I mean, last time you went off camera and put pants on to dance.
No,
We got time.
God damn it!
Hey, I wanted to give everybody an update. I've got a little more ink. We've got
Tony the Tiger's
Tony the
face.
Tiger's face.
NFL Fan of the Year.
Yeah,
for the
NFL
Bengals.
Fan of the Year on my arm right here, Tony the Tiger. But
Looks just like him. I mean, it's a tiger. He's a tiger. Dart said the struggle.
Hey, congratulations
the struggle
to Tony, by the
shuffle.
way. I don't know if it looked like he's having a hell of a time this weekend.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And congratulations to Tom Grossi, Jeff. Your
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
the Grossi raid on Jeff's live stream during the Chiefs-Dolphins game. That guy that sent those people there won Fan of the Year. I thought you guys – I wasn't watching the awards. I see Greg start saying, Tom Grossi raid, and I'm like, what the fuck is Greg talking about? The guy won Fan of the Year. I didn't even know he was a representative. It's all right.
Oh, here we go. What we got?
All right, Greg. What
right.
is the dance today? First
Oh God! Well, I thought I was doing the icky shuffle again, or the icky struggle. You want to
Let's
call
do
it?
the chicken dance.
Okay, you can.
No.
Let's see if it's improved.
Oh no! Here we go. This is how we said it in school. I don't want to be a chicken. I don't want to be a duck. So kiss my ass.
butt. Oh. Hey, I was trying to keep it PG.
Why?
Yeah, right.
The Darth wants the dot bot again.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can do the Macarena.
All right, let's see the Macarena. You got to get your hips into. Oh, there's some.
Oh,
there's
there
some
it is.
Butte.
Hey, yeah. Okay, that's it for me.
All right, Greg. That was impressive, honestly.
No, it ain't.
Tune in for the Bengals and Draft Talk. Stay around for Greg Dancing segment at the end of every show. So you stick around.
No, we're not doing. No, stop. I did not sign off on this. No, stop.
Every single show.
No.
And Tyler
what if I break my leg or something?
Well, we'll make sure that we send you to Chops Hospital to the psychiatric part.
Okay, I'm not breaking my leg.
The cake dance. You got to invent the cake dance. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's got to involve your butt.
I was going to say, just shake your ass.
Well, no. There is an old music video of Fergie where
it's like twerking. It's twerking basically,
yeah.
But it's the cake dance.
That's what I would pay money for, to see Greg twerk.
Yeah,
there's an old
time on Bengals and Brews.
No, there is an old video of Fergie where she rubs cake all over. I guess I could do something like that. But I hate to waste money on that.
Imagine the super chat. Oh, he doesn't want to run the cake, he says.
I mean, cake creators, it's like $20 for a cake, man. They're starving people. I ain't gonna do that.
Them starving pygmies down there in New Guinea.
Greg,
remember
you have so much ass in your freezer the way it is.
I got
part of one piece of ass that you.
I got a piece of ass thawing right now for myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and Ellis is not watching the Super Bowl as a Bengals fan. I'll probably watch it because it's our last football NFL wise.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't have a huge rooting interest.
UFL coming up.
Oh, I forgot. Derek's it's a whole new thing now. It combined, so Derek's like rock hard about all this.
Hey, yeah. Any chance I get to bet on football, I'm all over it.
And Kelly, I agree with you, man. Go 49ers. Chiefs fans are just great. Like, yeah, I mean, and the NFL got what they wanted, right? Taylor Swift might fly in from Tokyo to be at the game. Oh, we don't know if she's going to be there. It's like a whole thing. It's unreal. What's she going to wear to the Super Bowl?
Taylor Swift is a sleeper something for Joe Biden or something. Did you see that?
No,
Oh man,
we don't do the politics. Politics just a Debbie Downer topic in general.
I just thought
I will give my opinion on politics real quick.
Look, you had me at Taylor Swift.
For the first time ever. They're all a bunch of corrupt, sick fucks that don't give a fuck about the people. And fuck them all. They don't care about you. So don't spend your time arguing with people you love because of these assholes that could give two shits that have special interest groups in their pockets to even get them in the running. Personal opinion, obviously. And if you have a different opinion, that's fine. But that's my opinion on it. I hate talking about it. It feels like I'd rather bang my head off the fucking wall. I'd rather put my dick in a fucking blender.
I'd rather cheer for the Chiefs.
I'd rather cheer for the Chiefs.
Bringing it back to football.
But yeah, I think the 49ers have a chance because Taylor Swift's going to be there. There is no game after this. So the 49ers, you have a chance. We'll see what Brock Purdy does.
Telling me there's a chance.
There is a chance. Christian McCaffrey, the award thing. Do you guys want to get into the award thing at all? Because speaking of Christian McCaffrey, Lamar won it. There's thoughts, should it not be a regular season award? But it'd be hard to do. You'd have to have this after the Super Bowl. Then is it basically a Super Bowl MVP award?
You know what's hilarious?
The same award.
Cleveland won all these awards: Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and yet the Offensive Rookie and Defensive Rookie of the Year beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that it would be too difficult to have the playoffs play a part, but I think you can have, like, say from this point forward, the struggles in the playoffs have to have some weight to it. You know what I mean?
Well, you look at that year. You look at that year. What Vrabel won Coach of the Year when the Bengals got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, if the playoffs counted, Zach Taylor should have won Coach of the Year because.
Unfortunately, I think that was probably Zach Taylor's one and only shot because.
Yeah.
How much money did you lose on the award show last night, Derek?
Yeah, really.
You know what? I didn't place any bets.
Oh my god!
I didn't place any bets on the awards because this year I did a lot more. I did a lot more week by week and game by game than any futures bets. I did have a Joe Burrow MVP. I did have Zach Taylor.
Like
Coach of the
Bengals
Year.
related,
Yeah. But
that's fair. I thought maybe you doubled down. Yeah, you were hammering Lamar. You put $10,000 on Lamar. Coach of the Year. You were like D'Amico Ryans going from the second pick to a playoff win. He's a shoe-in, not this Kevin Stefanski jabroni. And I'm struggling. And speaking of, these guys are not wrestling fans, but I am. But my client, Brock Purdy. That's my Paul Heyman impersonation for you, Tyler. I hope you like
how about The Rock, man? The Rock coming out
Yeah,
to freaking that was totally.
Isn't it
funny?
funny?
Well, he was going to compete, and it was going to be him versus Roman Reigns for this whole head of the table. And I'm a fringe wrestling watcher. I loved it back in the day, though, so I still will keep up with it. My 13-year-old will vaguely keep up with it as well. So, if she was more into it, I would probably be more into it. But I'm a sucker for The Rock and all these Cody crybabies.
Yes,
out there. Like I love that on the Pat McAfee.
I did too.
It was funny. And that's The Rock. So now he's turning heel, and you're going to get The Rock that just says whatever, and they blur the lines of reality and not trust. And sometimes that happens. CM Punk's a prime example. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but that's a guy who really punched somebody in the face in the backstage area and gets fired from places. So
I was not a CM Punk fan.
Yeah, it was straight edge, right?
Yeah,
you're like, fuck, I'll drink what I want, you fucking asshole. Don't tell me what to do. But yeah, and Angelo Dawkins, Street Profits, Bengals fan, friend of the show, so it's always fun to see how those guys are doing, and it'd be cool, We know a WWE superstar, guys, friend of the show, Angelo.
Absolutely.
Dawkins. But yeah, man, just enjoy the ride. If you're a fan of wrestling, just enjoy the ride. WrestleMania is always the big event. So what the hell happened there?
I accidentally touched something and it threw my camera off. But
Greg's done that. He's accidentally touched the G spot before, and it's like,
oh,
oh boy. Oh, what is that from?
That's the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, what does he say? Oh boy, oh boy. I thought just.
Oh, maybe he does.
I don't know. No, oh boy. Oh, that was almost Pinocchio. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh boy, I'm a real boy. I'm gonna lie to me, baby. Sit on my face. I'm struggling, boys. This is
struggle bus
by
is
far
real
the
right
worst.
now.
Yeah. So I'm gonna end this one, but I love it, man. I love the people that tune in. I love you guys. Brian was awesome. Check out Draft Countdown. Check out Deep Fried Draft. Hopefully Monday, when we are likely to do another show at 3:30, I feel a little better. I brought what I could. I brought it. I wasn't 100%. It was like the Michael Jordan flu game. I mean, basically, people say that.
It was literally the Michael Jordan. There is, I mean, the comparisons
the
are crazy right now.
I remember the performance Del Altman had on Bengals and Brews. It was basically like watching Michael Jordan during.
There might be a 30 for 30.
Everyone says that. Greg's just staring at me like, fuck you. No one says that. You're right, Greg. No one says that. Hey, I killed a Paul Heyman impersonation. That's all that matters. I did good. I did it. All right. Appreciate y'all. Should be back on Monday.
Check out Project Game Day.
Project Game Day.
Go follow it.
And if you have suggestions for some nominations, get them in. Don't have a ton of nominations yet. So military veteran, an adult with special needs, trying to figure out, how many tickets, wheelchair accessible, not wheelchair accessible. We'll do everything we can to accommodate the ones that are picked. And if they're not picked this year, guess what? Probably do this again next year. So we'll try to, fill the spots as we get entries and things like that. And this, we're suckers. So get the entries in quick. Because everyone we see, we're going to be like, oh, we got to get that person to a game pretty much.
Yep. Like you make us cry and you're a shoe in.
Yeah, and Greg cries, but it's from fear when he sees a cat. So send your cat pictures. Send unsolicited cat pictures to Greg's DM.
Unsolicited cat pictures to Big Savage Greg.
Everyone send your pussies to Greg's DMs. Pat Gregor09 on Twitter. Everyone.
He's going to get friggin' invaded by these free OnlyFans accounts and stuff now.
Now, if I clip that and I put it on Twitter, he'll get
That's
it.
true.
We haven't had the porn bots in here in the chat.
No, we haven't. Not lately. We did
Thankfully.
the first couple years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But.
Well, fuck, boys. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. Catch you on the flippity floppity.